Get more now on that proposed withdrawal of services by barristers practising in the area of criminal law on Tuesday. We're joined in studio by Sara, Phelan, Chair of the Council of the Bar of Ireland. Good afternoon and welcome to the programme.
Thank you for having me on, Justin.
Thanks for being here. The Minister says the issue that you're protesting about on Tuesday, the restoration of fees, that forms part of the budget negotiations. And it's part of a bigger picture of negotiations that she's undertaking at the moment with the Minister for Finance. What's your response to what she said?
Well, first and foremost, let me say that we very much welcome the fact that the Minister has brought this forward as part of her discussions on the budgetary process. I should also say that this Minister for Justice and her predecessors have always, since 2018, and I'll come back to that in a minute, have supported the restoration of fees for criminal practitioners. And Minister McCarthy has spoken out previously in support of that restoration.
But you haven't gotten anywhere.
We haven't gotten anywhere, Justin, and that is why we've had very, very, very reluctantly had to take an unprecedented recommendation to our members to actually have a day of protest next Tuesday. But I should say that as far back as 2018, the Minister for Justice, or the Department of Justice, and the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions undertook a review of the practices of criminal practitioners. And that was actually sanctioned by the Department of Public Expenditure and Reform at that stage. And that review concluded in 2018 that efficiencies and flexibilities and reforms provided by criminal practitioners for the past decade actually did warrant and justified the fee restoration. And I suppose our bemusement at this stage is that nobody has put forward a justification for not doing it.
What are the fees you're talking about here? What fees are currently paid to barristers and what are you looking for?
So in the Circuit Court, there's a daily rate paid to a barrister, a trial fee of just over €1,100. And it's important to realise that is, first of all, before tax. And secondly, it involves a number of days preparation for a case before the case would actually go on for hearing. And what we're looking for is that level of fee would actually be restored to what it had been prior to the austerity era cuts.
Which was?
I don't actually have those figures, but what we do know is that we're now working at roughly 2002 rates, a little below. And if you go on to the CSO website, you'll find that the spending power of €100 back in 2002 is over €140 today.
So you have a day of action then on Tuesday. You're going to, criminal lawyers are going to withdraw their services. How many cases will be affected?
We don't actually know how many cases will be affected. If I'm reading, what I read in the newspapers is that we're looking at maybe 1,200 or so. But obviously those cases may not all be full-blown cases. They could be for mentions or other matters in the Circuit Court, the Central Criminal Court, the Special Criminal Court. And
this is a withdrawal of service by barristers. Do you expect solicitors will also join you?
We have had overwhelming support from our solicitor colleagues. Whether or not they will join us, that is a matter for themselves and their own professional view of it. But certainly we have had overwhelming support from anybody, I think, in the criminal justice sector, not just the solicitors.
You have highlighted yourselves that reversing cuts is a political decision that will have to be taken. And we're living in an era where the government is dealing with the cost of living pressures on people, where money is tight. We'll be talking in a moment about children in one of the poorest areas of Dublin and the resources that are applied to them. Do you accept that giving more money to barristers is never going to be top of the political agenda for anybody?
Well, I think it's important to realise, Justin, that this is actually not all about barristers' fees. And I think it's important for me to say that we're not looking for an increase here. What we're looking for is simply a mechanism to restore fees to what they were prior to the cuts. But it is a much wider issue than that. It's a public interest issue because our stats show that roughly 2/3 of criminal practitioners who commence in the criminal courts actually leave criminal practice within 6 years. Now, what that means for your listeners, what that means for Joe Public, is that in the years to come, there will be a dearth of experienced and skillful criminal practitioners to both prosecute crimes And if crimes aren't prosecuted, the victims of those crimes don't have their rights vindicated. And also there will be a dearth of practitioners to defend crimes or defend those accused of crime. And again, then those accused persons aren't having their rights vindicated. So it's a rule of law issue.
Very briefly, if you don't get the result you want after the budget from the Minister, what next? More strikes?
Our focus, I have to say, has been full-blown on the 3rd of October. I will also say that our members, there's a very pent-up frustration there at this stage because this has been going on for a number of years. And if, as part of the budget process or thereafter, there hasn't been an engagement to our satisfaction, well, then obviously we will have to go back to our members to see what next.
All right, Sarah Phelan, Chair of the Council of the Bar of Ireland, thank you for talking to us today.